So we also have an adult day respite care program, which is at our location in Wheat Ridge. And that program is designed specifically for people with Alzheimer's and dementia. And it's to give their home caregiver an opportunity to have time for themselves, whether it's just to be home alone, to take a nap, or those kind of things. Or we have a lot of home caregivers that need to go to work or they need to go to school. So we provide that respite care in our location. And so that's really kind of our program. All of that is tied together through a care management model. So everyone that comes into our organization is connected with a care manager. And that person really helps coordinate all of their care. And not only with care from Seniors Resource Center, but whatever else they may need. We were talking coming up the stairs about transportation. We don't provide transportation, but we can certainly help organize that for someone. There's other things that people need that we don't do that we can also help organize.
So how's it funded?
So we are funded, thankfully, a little bit by Westminster, but the bulk of our funding comes from the Older Americans Act. So that's where our federal dollars flow from. But if you can kind of picture it, that they start at the federal level, the Older Americans Act, they funnel to the state level, and they enter the state through the State Unit on Aging. From there, they get funneled to the Area Agency on Aging, which for us is DRCOG, the Denver Regional Council of Governments. And then they distribute the funds to the various organizations like us. So we used to be heavily funded through that. So I'll give you an example. I started in my role as the CEO a little over 6 years ago. When I started, we were a much larger organization. We had several locations. We had a large transportation program, but the organization was failing and we were within weeks of closing. So we had to make some quick decisions and really boiled it down to what we do best, which is direct care. And so we partnered with Via Mobility out of Boulder to take the transportation. We partnered with A Little Help, which is an organization of all volunteers, to move our volunteer program to them. And then we closed a couple of our locations because we do so much work in people's homes, we didn't need all that brick and mortar. So all that to say, our funding, we were receiving over $12 million a year from the Older Americans Act. Then once all of those services were taken out, we were just looking at our core services that we continue to do. We were down to about 8 million. Now we're down to about 5 million. So that funding is decreasing rapidly and much more than I would.
How's that looking for current and future funding?
It's tough. It's looking tight. So I'll get back to that in a second, but to kind of fill out where else we get funding. So we get the federal dollars. We also get funding from municipalities, Westminster, Golden, Wheat Ridge, a little bit from Lakewood. Jefferson County funds us because we're physically located in Jefferson County. And so they provide funding for us. And then we have foundations and grants and individual donors. So that's what really builds our funding model. What's interesting that I expected, but I didn't expect to the degree, is that with the reduction in the federal funding, we're also seeing the municipality funding pulling back. The county funding, of course it is. Sure. We also are seeing the same thing with foundations. They're pulling back and holding on. To be honest, a lot of the foundations, they're really stingy. They have a huge corpus of money, but they just give out a little bit every year. And I understand, But boy, right now, we need them to rethink
Yeah.
how that looks. So I did want to share with you a little bit about just what we do with Westminster, because I think it's important that you're aware of that. So in 2024, we received a $5,000 grant from Westminster Human Services Board, and we received another 5,000 in 2020. And through those dollars, we served 93 unique clients. And by unique, that means they haven't been repeated. So they're new services. And the total hours for a year was 938. So almost 1,000 hours of service. And that breaks down to 11 in-home care clients of 226 hours. The chores, there were 35 clients receiving the chores and at 226 hours. Care management, 44 people at 369 hours. And then in our adult day program, 3 people, so in 117 hours. So we have people drive to go to our adult day. So coming from Westminster, we have folks coming from Evergreen. So people drive for that program. So that's how that breakdown for Westminster looks. Our staffing, we remain steady at about 58 employees for our organization as a whole. And that includes all of our care providers, the folks that go into people's homes, the staff that work in the adult day program, and our administrative team and leadership.
Is that FTE or are they all full-time?
No, they're not. And most of our in-home care providers are very part-time. And we work really to make sure that they are caring for people that live close to them, so they're not driving so far. And we also, some people that they want one client. They just want to do that. And we're not going to say no.
Yeah.
So we do that. And we have people that'll take more. So right now we have a program, Adams County actually started funding us pretty well. Honestly, I have to say it's been great. So we've been able to serve more folks in Adams County than we were in the past. So we have 2 specific in-home care providers that serve only Adams County because they live in the county, but they are full-time and they have a full slate of folks that they care for. So that's really great. I was happy that we were able to do that.
How many of those Adams County clients are in Westminster? Not that it matters. I'm just curious.
And I know Westminster is broken between 2 counties, so I'm not sure how those numbers I mentioned break out.
Yeah, okay.
We also, speaking of the staffing, with the decrease in our funding, we are very careful about caring for our staff and caring for the people that trust us to provide their care. And so we're doing our best to not have any layoffs. But what we are doing is if people do leave, we're not replacing them right now, which is tough. So as an organization, we run very lean, but we're as lean as we can be right now. We just had a presentation to our board last night from our audit partners, and our audit's great, coming back really clean, but they even indicated you're as lean as you should be.
Yeah.
So it was good to hear. So we also, and I always like to point this out because I think it's important for people to understand, we have a lot of people that live in the foothills of Jefferson County, like back in the mountains, that rely on our caregiver. And sometimes our caregiver is the only person they see. So we have a couple of people that our caregiver takes in their water, takes in their firewood, takes in their food, because they don't want to leave their home. They're not able to get out. And so that's the only person they see. So it's really a tough situation and it's hard to monitor because there's a point comes where we have to say, this isn't safe for you anymore, or, but we can't make that choice.
Mm.
You know, we continue to provide all the care we possibly can, but there's a point that we really have to do our best to help encourage them to.
So does somebody, the caregiver, do they come in daily?
Some do,
Okay.
yeah.
Who decides? The caregiver?
The caregiver, if they have the capacity to do that every day,
Uh-huh.
they will do that. And it's really, if the person is asking for that, we do our best to make sure that that happens. And it seems contradictory, but we strive for that even harder in the winter because we know that if there's a problem when it's really cold,
Yeah.
someone needs to know that that person's okay. So we work really hard on that. Like I said, there's only a couple of that extreme, but we work on all of those levels.
So I haven't looked at Westminster's budget and I wouldn't know where to find it anyway. I'm just curious, what are the funding dates from the city of Westminster for you?
It's I want to say it's June. It's a June to June.
Okay, so that's the fiscal year.
I think the city's fiscal year, January to December, but I know they vote, they
Okay,
don't vote along with the grants, the human services
Yeah.
board is on a different cycle
That's true.
than the city.
And I may be incorrect with that.
Yeah.
Because all of them are on different schedules.
Yeah.
Which is actually good.
Yeah.
Because it helps us with
Yeah.
managing the,
so are you funded from Westminster through next June then?
so
Okay.
that was what our
Okay.
award was for 25. Yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the family caregivers and the importance of what it means for people to be able to have someone caring for them in their home.
Mhm.
And I don't really like to use the term family caregiver because a lot of times it isn't family. We are really careful with our language. We don't use loved one because a lot of times that is not the case. You have kids sometimes caring for a parent that was estranged, but out of guilt, they're caring for them. There is not really a loving relationship. But we do our best to make sure that that caregiver is being cared for as well. So we, once a quarter, our adult day team puts together a caregiver dinner. And last night was one. And we invite all of the caregivers to come in, have a meal. They can all have some time to just get to know each other, just kind of have a community, but with themselves. We usually provide some type of education for them or some type of presentation. And while they're doing that, their person that they're caring for, our team is caring for in our facility. So they don't have to leave someone home alone.
Yeah.
They can bring them, our team takes care of them, and we provide that support for them. The caregivers love that. But what we're seeing, a caregiver is typically considered to be in between the ages of 45 to 64. We know that's kind of the average, but we definitely see younger people
Mhm.
and we see older people that are caregivers. And then and these statistics that I'm going to talk about, they consider the person that's receiving the care to be over 80, which we know that is, there's a big range of that number as well. But the reduction of the family caregiver is becoming really concerning. So in 2010, the ratio of caregiver to person was 7-1. In 2030, it's estimated to be 4-1. And in 2050, 3-1. Because our population is aging
Mhm.
so rapidly, and there aren't as many young people coming up to care for that amount of aging population. There are over 10,000 people a day that turn 65 in this country. So you could see how, how that looks. So the needs for our services are growing exponentially, while the funding for those services is going the other direction.
Mhm. Yeah,
It's really
everything else.
And I know I'm not telling you anything you don't know. So, um, so anyway, when we look at people that are asking us for care, we really try to look at the whole. So not only that person, but their caregiver, what is their other supports, what is their housing, all of those kind of things. We want to make sure that we're approaching that holistically so we can provide the best wraparound care we possibly can. What I would love to see is physicians to be more involved and understanding what care is available outside of just putting someone in a nursing home or in an assisted living. But understanding that there are other options and helping to support the need for further funding for that. They have a loud voice, and I would really love for them to get on board with saying more about that and helping organizations. People ask a lot of times, well, who's your competition? And my answer is, we don't have competition
Wish you did.
because the needs are so great. There's no way any organization could possibly do it all. So I welcome anyone to join the industry to help with.
The University of Colorado, my wife retired doing medical research there, but she's involved with, they have like an ethics committee, primarily all MDs. So I would think something like that, whether you would go to them, begin with them. I can get you or Miguel information. Maybe my wife knows at least somebody to start with.
That would be
They're
great.
very active over there. So I would think, just a couple of years ago, I needed to find a new or a new caregiver, a new doctor. And I thought, you know what? I'm 70. I think I need to get a geriatric specialist, and I did, but I purposely found a younger one, somebody, I don't even think, she's only like in her 30s. And I'm thinking, yes, somebody that can outlive me.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a doctor that I thought was Doogie Howser.
Yeah. So, but I would think that there's probably, that would be a good place to start.
I appreciate that. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So if you could possibly, through Miguel, help just give
Yeah.
me a contact, that'd be great.
Okay.
I would really appreciate
And you
that.
got a business card? or-
I do.
Yeah,
Just
that-
call me or email me directly. That's fine.
And I have a question about the caregivers.
Yeah.
Are they all actual clients? Are they, part of your program? Or is there counseling available? My wife and I are 78 and her mother is she turns 104 next month.
Wow, that's.
And we brought her to live with us.
Mhm.
She's pretty independent. She's 104, but she knows what's going on,
That's good.
you might say, and has a will of her own. And we're both healthy. My wife is probably the primary caregiver, but I think she doesn't express it, but I hope I'm not talking out of school here, but I think it weighs on her. I can see that it weighs on her. Is there any kind of counseling available or any kind of group interplay that she can be involved in, even though we're not really clients?
Yeah, I think that type of work we don't do. That would kind of lend on the medical side. I would recommend Jefferson Center for Mental Health. They have amazing resources and amazing programs. And so I would recommend just seeing what they might offer.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if she'd go for it if
Yeah.
she knows a bit.
yeah,
I don't think it would hurt.
yeah. No, good. Caregiving is a hard job.
It is. Yeah.
It's difficult. So, So the other thing I wanted to talk about, and this is just kind of looking ahead for us, is uh, on our campus in Wheat Ridge, the county donated an old elementary school and attached to it is a public library. And they donated those buildings and the land to the organization about 45 years ago.
Yeah.
So we've operated out of the elementary school for all those years. And about 15 years ago, the organization purchased 2 lots to the north, tore the homes down, and built a new adult day building. And it's a 2-story building. It's very nice. So that entire program is operated out of that building. And so currently the school building is our administrative function is in there, and we use less than half of the building.
Mm.
So before I started in my role, I was in real estate. So that's a long story, but I had this bright idea. I said, oh my gosh, we're just not using our asset the way we should. We could convert this to affordable housing for older adults. Easy peasy. So I was wrong. It's not easy. But we've continued down that road. I've learned a ton, and we're just now in the process of being able to send out a request for interest from developers. And our intent is to sell the school building, the library building, the land. We will maintain the adult day building. And the idea is to have the other buildings torn down and affordable housing for older adults built. And the way the land was deeded to us is that it has to be continued use for older adults, senior services. So that fits. So to provide housing, affordable housing. And by that, I mean, I would love for the whole project to be at least 30% AMI. I think the developers are going to want a little bit more for some of the units, but no more than 60. Mm-hmm. So the way it looks right now with the city charter of Wheat Ridge and the way it sits, we can probably provide 42 units. So I'm really looking forward to being able to provide that to older adults that need housing. We're seeing more and more older adults facing homelessness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pardon me, because of the rising costs of rent and just costs of living. It's just so high. So if we can help provide that, I want to be a part of that.
So is that something that is coming together, or is it still largely aspirational?
Oh, no, it's coming together. It just takes a lot longer
Well, sure.
than I thought it was.
Doesn't everything.
So it'll still be, I'm guessing, at least 4 years before we see anything come out of the ground, but we're still moving forward.
Good.
So I just believe in being a good steward of our assets.
Yeah.
And that's one way we can do it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I would hope that Wheat Ridge and Jefferson County could.
they're all incredibly supportive.
Yeah.
So that helps. And I joke that I started kindergarten in that building.
Oh, really?
And so I say I began and will end my career in that building.
Maybe you'll have one of those residences too.
Yeah.
Get to live there.
So anyway, that's who we are as an
Thank you.
organization. And, I so appreciate you inviting me to talk about this. The needs of older adults gets pushed aside quite a bit. And the reality is so many people need so much help and care. But I think the more we can talk about the importance of older adults in the community, the contributions that have been made, the contributions that continue to be made by older adults in the community, and being able to help support that is incredibly important. So whether it's your own soapbox that you can stand on for that, or your positions here on this committee and with the city are important, and wherever you can.
Well, I can't speak for everyone on the board, but I know we've had this conversation, and Donna keeps us pretty honest there.
I would like to add something when you're
Yeah.
ready for me to do that too.
Well, Donna, why don't you go ahead?
Okay. And it's Chris, is that right?
That's correct.
Correct. My name's Donna Johnson. I've been a member of this board since its inception, and I definitely qualify as an older citizen. Today is my birthday, and
Oh,
I am 91 years old.
Happy birthday. That's
Thank you.
fantastic.
So I definitely think part of the reason I'm on this board is because of that, and I bring that aspect to it, plus a lot of other things. Um, I live in a retirement community, Chris, Covenant Living,
Yeah.
up here in Westminster. And so much of what you have said, I bring that perspective and I understand it completely. And I think definitely that senior citizens need to be a part of the whole inclusivity picture because, as you say, it's not as easy anymore and it's getting tougher. I'm, of course, blessed to be able to live in a community where we're at least able to have decent facilities and living and all. But I know that you talked about the caregiving just today. Two different people that live here that are kind of neighbors of mine. One of them a male and one of them a female. We're talking about the caregiving that they are giving to their spouses. And that is just it's very difficult, and I'm sure, as you mentioned, you can relate to that, and Rich certainly can with having his mother-in-law being there in the house, and it's very hard on the caregiver. So anything along that line, what kind of services can we at Covenant Living as a part of of already established community? Are there things that we can either help with or do or support or is that a fair question to ask or is that too much, going to take too much time and you and I maybe need to just talk individually?
that's a great question.
That's a great question. I love it. I think maybe it would be worth having a conversation and talking about what your thoughts are and helping me to kind of wrap my head around what the potential might be. I
Okay.
think when I said earlier that as an organization, we downsized everything to make it more manageable. Because, and what I'm really alluding to is we moved our volunteers to a different organization because we were never funded for volunteer program. So
Mm-hmm.
we had two full-time staff that managed that program, but there was no funding for that.
I
So
see.
that was coming out of our pocket. But we're starting to see the need to have other people being able to help, not just a paid staff. And we just need to be able to determine how we can do that and manage that program without funding. So, yeah, I
Maybe
think
having the
there's
opportunity then to talk with us and our group, we could begin some of that groundwork. Is that right? Kind of possibly?
that would be
Yeah.
fantastic. And I see Miguel added in the chat that he'd like to be a part of that conversation, which I appreciate. So, yeah, let's if we can get a time on our calendar, I would love that.
That
Excellent.
would be great. Amy, just make sure that I can have his contact as he can have mine. Okay, thank you.
That's great. Yeah.
Thank you very
Helps be the ideal conduit for that. That's great. Yeah. Yeah. I can see having the opportunity to serve really gives purpose to a life. And, if there are folks in your facility that,
Yes.
yeah, makes you live longer too.
Well, it certainly does. And I'm an example of that, but we celebrate 100 birthdays here on more often occasions
Yeah.
than you would realize.
That's great. That's so nice. That's so nice.
So, the inclusivity board we're advisory in nature. And so we give advice to the city council, which they may or may not heed. Occasionally they do. And so my question is, what can we do for you? Although you just did a marvelous thing.
Yeah.
But what can we do for you?
Well, honestly, just this invitation and the opportunity is great. And I think just the more exposure that we can provide.
Yeah.
Is key.
And I think we can advocate for funding.
Absolutely.
I think, we can't make it happen, but we can.
I understand.
We can sure, advocate for it.
And I am always happy to come out and speak to people. I also have other team members who are excellent.
Yeah.
And are really good about that as well. And what did Miguel add? Ask for more budget dollars? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course. So, any of those opportunities, I am always happy. Someone in my staff always will do that as well. I felt bad I missed it in May. There's an Older Americans Month proclamation, and our COO accepted that, and Miguel was there, and I appreciate that. And it's just really, those types of things do make a difference. It really just rises that, just the visibility a little bit more, but it has to happen more than once a year.
Yeah.
It can't happen just when there's a proclamation. It has to happen all the time so people remember. And and I just think with what is happening right now, politically and in our country, we have to have a large voice and just make the needs known. And, it's amazing how many people, and Donna, I think you're a prime example of that you are celebrating your 91st birthday, but yet you're at a committee meeting, which is fantastic. And you're still active and engaged and want to be and are making a difference. But as you said, you have the ability to live in a nice place where you have what you need. And I think that's fantastic. And then we have everything in between.
Absolutely.
And we have people that are literally on the street. And that breaks my heart.
Yeah.
So we want to help where we can. And we really do focus on the folks that really don't have much. So we need to lift that up as well. Excuse me.
You're right. I do occasionally run into 80-year-olds that are, if they're lucky, they're living in a car.
Yeah. There's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for that
Because they can at least move around, but it's true.
It's sad. So,
Well, and it's very easy to live in a community like I do and insulate and almost isolate yourself from the real the world out there.
Yeah.
It's one of the joys of mine to be a part of this board, because I think it's very easy to do that, and you kind of lose sight of the real life in many ways, because you are somewhat, like I say, separated. And I know we have people on this campus that want to be involved more, just don't know exactly how. So hopefully we can have a conversation, and maybe we can come up with some things and run them through the board and whatever we need to do. But thank you for giving us that opportunity.
Yeah.
oh yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Look forward to it.
Thank you. Good to know that you're there, and I wish you did have competition.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
My wife, I think she has a meeting tomorrow with, it's called the bioethics.
Okay.
She's hoping she'll have some information even tomorrow.
Oh, that's great. I appreciate
At
that.
least a contact.
That's great. I appreciate that. So,
Good.
what other questions do you have for me, or what else can I help you with?
Are there any volunteers? Do you have a cadre of volunteers that, no?
No.
And you, or is it like herding cats?
Well, that's part of the point, is that we don't have any funding to be able to pay someone to manage that program. And it needs managed.
Yes, it does.
So, we moved that all to a little help, and they're a phenomenal organization. They really are. And they've grown a lot as well. But like I said to Don, I think, and just starting to see that we need a level of that. I just don't know how to do it without having the funding for it. So,
Gotcha.
And my team holds me accountable, because I made the statement, put the line in the sand and said, we will not do anything that we don't have funding for. Because that's what got the organization in trouble years
Mhm.
ago.
Yeah.
It's called mission creep. It's like, oh, we can do that. We can do that. Well, if you don't have money for it,
Yeah.
you know? And so I use the example that, and Miguel knows this. I saw this video about a trishaw, and it's designed in Denmark, and it's a bicycle. So if you picture a bicycle, but in the front of it are it's like seats, two seats, but it was designed specifically for older adults to be able to get on and get off easily.
Wow.
And the whole idea is just to take people for a ride, just to get them outside, fresh air, wind in your face. And I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, we have to have one of those. And so I started doing some research and worked with a group that does that. And so we got a trishaw. And but I was reminded severely that we didn't have money for that. And I said, but we'll find it. And we did. We actually did get the money because it was $15,000. Wow, it's expensive. But I can tell you that we take our adult day participants out for rides. And I was one of the person that rides the bike is called Pilot. And I was able to do that this morning. And I love doing that because you can see the folks and oh my gosh, they just light up and they're so happy to be outside and it's so much fun. So I do have I break the rule a little bit, but I have to be careful.
So is that something volunteers could do, or I mean, or are you completely out of the volunteer?
Currently, we're out of the volunteer business, but like I said, I think we need to figure out how we can
Yeah.
possibly get back in, not to the level that we were, but to some extent.
Because the first thought that came to my mind is that something our youth advisory committee would.
There you go.
be? What are they called, council?
Panel, youth advisory panel.
Pam, something that might be right up their alley.
Well, and we love intergenerational.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I think putting that together, marvelous.
Well, and there's the whole thing with that, of course, and I'm not saying anything new to any of you, the whole liability thing. So that, you know, that's one of
Well,
the,
of course. Yeah.
and we find that even here, that is a big factor, unfortunately, anymore. Didn't used to
Yeah.
be so much like it is now, but that's an issue. Mhm.
See, Jillian has her hand up. I don't know how long it's been up.
Not long, not long. Don't worry about me. Thank you so much, Mr. Lynn. This was a really good presentation. And in the list of the varied and important services you provide, I'm wondering, are you seeing a rise or a potential for older folks to connect through the day program and then opt to move in together? Like so often, at least like when I look at my mother-in-law, she lives alone in a 4-bedroom house, and she's constantly saying like, I don't need this much space. This is too much house for me. But it's either people stay in their homes, which I understand the desire to want to do, um, especially if they can't afford to move into a community or assisted living, or they're not ready they don't need that level of assistance yet. So I was wondering if you'd seen or heard about, all right, we've met some people, we've made friends. I've got way more bedrooms in my house than I have people sleeping in them. Do you help people with moving if they're moving from one place to another, if it's not moving into an assisted living facility?
We specifically do not. However, there's an organization called Sunshine Home Share. And again, phenomenal organization, partners of ours. And they pair people, just like you were saying about your mother-in-law, that, you know, they have a house, they want to stay there, but it's getting to be a little bit much, or maybe they just need a little help with money to help support that. And so what Sunshine Home Share does is they pair people together. And it's a rigorous process, I will say.
Yeah.
It's not something that happens quickly. because they have to understand a lot about one another.
Yeah.
And it may be that the rent that the person moving in pays is reduced if that person will help with lawn work or running errands or those kind of things. But that's what they do. They really work on those partnerships and they're very successful at it. So that would be an organization that I highly recommend because they do it right. And I would not want for us to start doing that because they do it really well. And they know the questions to ask and they know how to make those partnerships or pairings. So yeah, I recommend them highly.
I didn't know that. I'm glad somebody's doing it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hadn't heard about that. I know plenty of, I mean, I'm only 40, but I have plenty of friends of my age or younger, and the number of them who are like, yeah, to keep costs down, roommates, like we all have had roommates or are looking at having roommates again in the future. And but it's interesting to hear that that is a potential way to reduce costs on your end if either if care workers don't have to go to multiple houses or if there's someone there, it's like, okay, I can't do X, but I can do Y, and they can help each other out. And then I'm sure like for family members like me who have people living in other states and I can't be there, I can't pop over on Saturday and see how uncle's doing.
Right.
Knowing that there's someone there.
Yep.
That would be a huge peace of mind. But thank you again. Like it's amazing to hear that you have so many options for supporting people staying where they are.
Well, thanks. Yeah, we really do have a lot of great partnerships with other organizations in the area, really metro wide, because we serve the entire Denver metro area. So we want to make sure that we're able to help us wherever we can. But I just wanted to add one thing to that, Jillian, too, is a lot of the people will say their needs, oh, I might need help with rent or I need help with groceries or whatever. And what people don't say, but what really is one of the key things is companionship.
Mhm.
You just want to
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
that someone's going to come in the door, someone's going to talk to them, and what Sunshine Home Share does, I think, really well is to help build that.
Mhm.
It's not just a roommate. So someone's just going to come in and go in their room and shut the door. So there is going to be a relationship there. So and that's just so important.
Thank you. So Jillian, I'm wondering, I think Donna popped in about a quarter after. If you wanted, I don't know if it's kosher to do a retroactive call to order.
I don't think it has anything to do with food. I wanted to get as much of Mr. Lynn's presentation recorded as we could, and so thank you, Amy, for taking care of that and getting the recording started. Yeah, in the meantime, like you said, we can do a call to order. We now have a quorum. We can do a quick vote on approving the previous meeting's minutes and then see if there's any old business we need to discuss.
Well, I could leave you to your business.
You're welcome to say.
Thank you,
but
Chris.
Yeah,
Sure.
I would want to go home.
It was a pleasure to meet all of you.
Yeah,
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you for what you do.
Look
Thank you
forward
for
to talking
coming.
to you, Chris. Mhm.
Yeah, I do as well. Thank you very much, Don.
I'm Alan. And if you get anything from Alan Farb,
Okay. I'm gonna write that down, just so.
I don't know, or because I'll probably just send something to you about
That's
whatever
great.
my wife finds.
That's great. All right. All right, thank you. Can I just let myself out?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, and actually, I'll take your badge.
Oh, yeah. I don't need to be a guest all the time. Thank you so much. Great to see you all.
Yeah. thank you.
Miguel, thank you. Hope you're feeling better.
Yeah.
All right, have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, so we have Alan, Rich, Miguel, and Donna, and myself. That's 5. I've got Justin, Michelle, Megan, and Steve as absent, but going forward, Amy, you said Michelle was going to be stepping down.
Yes, yes. She notified us or Justin and I last week that she will no longer be able to be part of the board due to family commitments, family out of state that need more care. So exactly what,
So is that going to be attrition or do we need to replace her?
that leaves us with 8. So, yeah, I think we have up to 9.
Yeah.
So,
I think we need an odd number
yeah,
for votes.
right.
Yeah.
And so we can certainly talk with the clerk's office about, recruiting for an additional,
Okay.
or, I mean, you all can help recruit, but, talking
Yeah.
about filling that vacancy.
All right. I don't have a gavel or anything to bang and be like, call to order. Don't have any
just
wands
clap
to
your hand.
wave. Oh, I can do that. I can do that. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve the previous meeting's minutes?
Move we approve the previous meeting's minutes.
Second,
Beautiful. All right, voting's done. Now what? We don't have a council report from Ms. Hott because she is sick. So I'll make a note of that in the minutes as well. We've had our new business, very successful presentation. There's a break in here for 5 minutes. Does anybody need to take one? All right, and then moving on to old business, which I'm at a serious disadvantage. I wasn't at the last meeting, so I don't know if there's any business from the previous meeting that we need to bring up for further discussion. Like I said, I've read the minutes from the last meeting, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and actually watch the recording. I do not have much in the way of additions there.
I don't remember if I reported on this at the last meeting or not, or even when I went to a zoning board meeting. And so I want to make sure that gets in the minutes somehow. I did go to a zoning board meeting. It was kind of it was a report from the city about new zoning and city planning potential plans. And was really very pleased that some of the concerns that I had, they're dealing with in looking at a diversity of housing and housing types in the city in particular. And so some of my personal concerns were allayed by going to that. And I found the I don't remember if they're called the zoning board or the city planning board. I think the city planning board. But they're very thoughtful and are really thinking in terms of people and not real estate alone. And so anyway, just wanted to get that on the record.
No worries. I am trying to type and listen at the same time because I do have
That's hard to do.
it's hard to walk and chew gum at the same time.
Yeah,
Donna, did
Amy,
you
Amy
have-
said she would keep notes. She would take minutes.
So yeah,
That
I can switch over
That
to
makes it
taking
easier for
notes.
you.
so the only thing we had with old business and we moved it to this month was still trying to, what is it actually, each section?
Yeah, it's our annual goals.
Oh,
We still haven't figured the goals.
And I think you all have said them, but the idea that I think Michelle and Justin had was to review at least, if not the whole goals every month, or to take time to review one goal per meeting. But I know, with missing several people.
we need to have
Yes.
people here
Yeah.
to get a variety of.
Yeah, so we kind of pushed it to this meeting and then I guess we'll have to push again.
I think we will.
Make a note of that.
But
too. Did
before
you
you're
have something?
92. Donna.
Right. Right, Ellen.
Yeah.
You have your
My
hand up, Donna.
mother-in-law is pushing 104, so You're-
That's wonderful.
you're a baby.
Rich. I am.
That's what he used to tell my mother-in-law, 2 months shy of 104.
Oh, wow.
That's impressive.
What about, did you want to make mention of these, Rich, about the proclamations from Monday?
Yeah, we were there and accepted all three and proclamations.
On behalf of the community, which one?
Well, let's see, there's Pride Month, Juneteenth, and
Immigrant Heritage
Immigrant
Month.
Heritage. Yeah.
I was asking around in a couple of my friend groups, but nobody actually lives in Westminster. I know people from Thornton and Broomfield and North Glen, and I'm like, I can't invite any of you because you don't actually live here. That's too bad.
That's true. That was my issue.
I mean, I love that everybody's so close together, but for things that are city specific, like, okay, I know this dude from a gym in Westminster, but that doesn't mean he lives in Westminster.
Right.
Thank you, Booster. Thank you. Sorry, that's my dog.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. Did they have to be in Westminster? I didn't think they had to be. I wasn't into
I
that
think it's
stipulation.
preferable. It just seems to me that it's preferable.
Preferable, I believe it's
okay.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, not required, but
Yeah,
preferable.
yeah. The person that I was able to find to accept last year to accept the Indigenous Peoples' Day Award doesn't actually live in Westminster. She was involved in an organization that serves people,
Mhm.
some people who are from Westminster. So there's a connection. So I think it's helpful to have some kind of connection.
That's what we're all about, is helping connect people to each other and to their city and to their government. I think that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah. And we're not awarding a person. We're just having someone sort of stand in for
For a group.
for a particular population.
Do we want to go round robin and discuss what's happening in the community?
Don't everybody speak at once, huh?
Is that a no?
I can volunteer. So fortunately, I was
you.
a little sick Monday, so I missed the proclamations and I missed SRC board meeting in person yesterday. But I got a mini update, I guess, from Chris today, which is nice. So yeah, just been active with the board with Chris and SRC, which has been enlightening and rewarding as well. Just working with him and the rest of the board members, learning all about that space. Still involved in policing and doing the sort of citizen advisory reviews of certain cases, which has been interesting as well. Keeps me busy about once a month reviewing those. But everything seems to be pretty normal with that. That's about the extent of, sort of my, I guess, if we're still calling it ambassador involvement in the community.
Thank you.
Now that it's summer, it's everybody is out planting and getting the gardens in order, and it's so great to see like all the 14-year-olds going door to door with flyers saying, "Can I mow your lawn? Can I mow your lawn?" We have a big neighborhood here with lots of lawns, and I keep waiting because my daughter keeps offering to mow the lawn, but she can't quite reach the handles. She's like, this would be so much easier if you had one of those motorized. I have an old school like push mower. And she's like, we should get one of those ones that runs on gas. And I'm like, I'm not letting my 7-year-old push a gas mower.
Yes, maybe there's a drone mower or something. I don't know.
There is one that supposedly it's like a Roomba with blades.
Uh-huh.
That tempted me. I can report on some growing home. I'm on the marketing and development advisory committee for growing home, and they've had some turnover in leadership, but they're still looking for another space. The place that they're in down on 73rd, it's a little the building is showing some wear, shall we say.
Oh,
Um, and they need to expand the space for their food pantry. But they do have their community garden going in. Um, and they also have one of the things that I really like about what they do. It's sort of a family support and education, parenting, advising, which is a really cool thing. I mean, they're really looking at the whole family, not just being a food bank, which is important. But it's more of a 360-degree thing with the family. And so the part that I'm involved in isn't so much the client side, but it's advising on marketing and communication, and looking at how better to communicate with the various constituencies that Growing Home has. From a potential donor at a golf tournament to someone who needs family counseling or parenting instruction, or who needs to fill a basket with food. Um, so, I really love that organization, and happy to be acquainted with it.
Rich, I ran into Bev Bishop, who was a member of this board,
Yes.
as you know,
Yeah.
a week ago or so, and I
Yeah.
asked her a little bit about it. And obviously, there have been some changes. They're not taking clothing and that kind of thing anymore. Is
They're
that
not
correct?
taking clothing. That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Are they still
Yeah.
providing that? Do they still have that property where they had people could live, or is that still part of their?
I don't know. I don't know about
Okay.
that.
Okay, but you're right. Growing Home is and has been, I think, a very good organization. I know when I was working for Senator Ulibarri, he had a pretty active part in that, and
Yeah.
that was a quite good thing. But like
Yeah.
a lot of others, time takes away some of the
Yeah.
things. But yeah,
Yeah.
thank
It's
you.
a real asset. It's a real asset
It is. It truly is.
for our community.
Hmm.
Rich, do you know if Growing Home accepts non-monetary donations like actual food? You said they have a community
Yes.
garden.
Yes, they do.
They do.
Yes,
Oh.
they do. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
got
they do.
40 pounds of rhubarb and I can only make so many pies.
Oh.
So
Give
if
me-
I could,
I'd take some of that, but
Oh.
our rhubarb is coming on strong. Otherwise, I'd take some of yours. That's a lot of pies.
I have never planted rhubarb. It just moved into my garden from my neighbors. My next door neighbors planted rhubarb one year. They decided they didn't like it, so the rhubarb came over and lives with me now.
Oh, but yeah, mix it with strawberries. It makes a great pie.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Great. It's
Our
great.
son-in-law is from Croatia, and my wife made some kind of a rhubarb crisp, and he was asking what it was. So we took him out in the backyard and showed it to him, because he'd never heard of it under that name. So he wondered if there was a Croatian name for it, and he saw it. He says, "Oh, we dig that stuff up. It's a weed."
It's
So-
edible.
It's also
One
a
person's
Swedish.
weed is another person's meal.
That's right.
We call it lemon celery because it's crunchy
Yeah.
like celery. It's
Art.
got that tartness.
Ah.
Yeah, just don't eat the leaves. They'll make you sick.
Too much oxalic acid, I believe.
Anybody else?
Well, the only, on like the homelessness front, of late, I'm only getting in contact, it's still a lot of people, with about 60, 61 people, where it was typically 64 to about 74 people. These are all adults. I am seeing new people, but Adams County has been going to larger camps and getting everybody from the camp, so there's two things going on. Some camps are being moved by the sheriff's department in Adams County, for example, and other camps, the poverty reduction team with Adams County are moving whole camps. They're assigning people housing. We don't know about wraparound services. So, but that's a positive thing that is happening because that's part of the housing first, get people off the streets. But those wraparound services really are needed because some people just don't know what to do with themselves and they wander the streets until it's time to go home. So, I did have, unfortunately, two people told me today that some Westminster officers have told them, just get out, you have to get out of town. We don't want you here, police officers. So when I say it's probably one or two officers that are doing this. But they know their rights, they're residents. They grew up here. They're just out on the street for whatever reason. But that was kind of, I had heard that before, but.
Miguel, is that something you could bring up?
Miguel, do we still have you?
Yeah, he's still on screen. Might have had to step away.
Right. Okay.
That might have happened.
Oh, there he
Did
is.
someone have a question for me? Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, Alan was talking about some of the homeless folks that he talks to have mentioned that there are maybe one or two police officers from Westminster who basically tell them they just have to leave town.
Okay.
I mean, that's secondhand. So what really transpires, who knows? But I'm wondering if that's something that you're in a position to address.
Probably not directly, but I would say like we could talk to chief about it or
Yeah.
deputy chief about it. And then also you may see if you can get some timestamps to see if they can get it on cam reported.
Good point. Yeah. So I don't know if it would be necessary to try to nail somebody, but simply to,
Just a general,
yeah.
whenever they have their morning watch.
And again, who knows what transpired between two people?
Correct.
Absolutely.
But
And a homeless person most will not come forward because they don't want to be continually harassed. Try to keep a low profile.
Understandable.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's concerning to hear. So I'm sorry that.
Well, I've heard this off and on for over the course of 3, 4, or 5 years.
oh wow.
Well, it might not be a bad idea to remind the officers, like, this is what you can and can't, like, this is what our policy is in terms of interacting with unhoused people, and, telling them to leave town is, I'm guessing, not part of the city code anywhere.
They're still neighbors.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're still people.
Absolutely.
They're still people. We're all just people. But that brings us to future meeting topics. Looks like we have Mr. Chris Chauvin lined up to come speak with us at the August meeting about the federal BRT and mobility programs. Has anybody heard? I'm not sure who was following up with Heath Klein from City Engineering about the sidewalk plowing and walkability.
We're still working on a date. His schedule hasn't, this particular day hasn't worked out well for him. So we're trying to get a future date.
Second Wednesday is very particular.
Yeah.
That's fine. We're only halfway through the year. We've got months and months.
There is someone who we might like to have come talk to us. I'm trying to bring everything back to mind here. It's a group that is interested in affordable housing that's sort of starting up. I can't remember. It'll probably come to me on the way home, what they're called. Um, but they are interested in talking to us. I can't remember. I've just started, in going to their meetings. I can't recall. It'll come to me.
If you send
Alright.
it to Rich, then I can,
Okay.
you
We
know,
can add it in, yeah. And who managed to get tickets to Top Taco tomorrow?
Yeah. Uh, $80 tacos are not inclusive.
Really? It is.
I would agree.
I have never been.
I understand everything can't be for everybody, but $80 tacos are not inclusive.
I bet I could eat $80 worth of tacos.
Well, you certainly want to if you paid for that ticket.
If you paid for
That's
it.
That's very true. Yeah, I had so much fun sitting down with the community event calendar and writing down all the things that sounded like fun. And as we get closer to a lot of them, with some of them, it's like, okay, those tickets probably will not be happening. But Movie in the Park is getting started at the end of this month, and I'm really excited for that. That's a great chance to walk around and see people and enjoy being outside. Colorado summer evenings are just delightful. But with that, we come to the end of our agenda, unless there's any more details we need to go over.
Jillian,
Yes,
sorry.
Susan?
Just one thing, since it is summer season and I know we've been on the border of having a quorum or not the last couple of months. So I just want to check for our July meeting. If anybody knows they'll be out of town, just so I can start, planning if, I'll try to reach out to Justin as well. I know he hasn't made it the last few months, so I'll see kind of what's going on. But if anybody knew they were going to be out of town for July, let me know. Not saying we'd cancel, but we might consider something.
Yeah,
if-
I'll be back by the second
Okay.
Wednesday.
Okay.
I have the
Well,
name of
and-
that organization. It's called YIMBY.
Yimby, thank you.
Yes,
Yimby.
in my backyard.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. And Tim Pegg was my contact there.
Oh,
Tim Peg, is that PEGG?
PEGG, yep.
mhm.
Perfect.
He ran for city council a couple of years ago.
Right, he's
Not
ran
elected.
for city council one of the last times. Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm, mhm.
So it's called YIMBY, yeah. And apparently it's kind of a network around the metro area.
Awesome, thank you for that. But yeah, affordable housing is definitely inclusive. Everybody
if-
needs a place to live.
If we're interested in what they're doing, I can let him know that I kind of vaguely suggested to him that we might be interested in having them come talk to us. But it's not my decision, so if we are interested, I can pass that on.
That'd be beautiful. I don't think we have anybody lined up for July or September. Depending on how much time he wants to
Yeah.
put together a presentation or just come speak with us.
I think it would be good to have the youth advisory panel, a couple of the members, to just have it, hear what they're doing. There were two of them, were the Mary Chancho, the Adams County, the Mary Chancho, not humanitarian award, but that's,
Yeah.
but there were seven, youth members. Two of them are from our own Westminster Youth Advisory Board, and one, I can never remember his last name, Milo, is, received the top award for Milo's work.
Amazing. Good for him.
Yeah, at one point, I was supposed to go talk to them about what we do. And we were never able to find a time when that would work. So I think it's still in the wind.
But if we can arrange something to hear about what they're doing, and if they can hear about what we are doing, I think that might be,
I think it would be a good idea.
I agree.
and especially since you were bringing up about the youth with the senior resources.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, if we have no further discussion, once again, a hand clap to thank everybody for their time and officially end the meeting. I thank
we
you
have to-
all
we don't
very
have to
much
vote
for your
on that, do
patience
we?
with me.
To adjourn, no.
Okay, it ends at
Chair, make chair.
7:24.
Okay. So we don't want to talk about rhubarb anymore?
After the meeting, yes. I haven't checked mine.
I have exactly 3 ways of eating rhubarb, and my family is sick of all of them. So
I could eat a lot of rhubarb strawberry pie, but anyway.
Okay. Great to
Thank you,
great to
Jillian.
hear from you. Great to see you, Donna.
Good to
thank
see
you very
everybody.
much,
You
ladies
bet.
and gentlemen.
Take
Thank you
care.
all. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Miguel.
Thank you.
Bye.
Sorry to go.